We are back to work on our 2013 Scion FRS, and if you can't tell, I'm pretty pumped about it. We've got a bunch of track testing coming up, so we're gonna do some aero upgrades, some cooling upgrades, some brake maintenance. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming at you. I'm gonna start this party off by installing these Varus Engineering hood vents. This engine runs pretty hot, and the supercharger doesn't make it run any cooler, but we still want more cooling. And these vents will also help with front end downforce by changing the pressure differential between the underside and the top side of the hood, so we'll get more cooling and more front downforce. It's a win-win situation. It even comes with detailed instructions, which we'll show you right now. Step one is pull the hood off. You could do it on the car, but after some thought, we decided we'll just pull it off. That way we can lay the templates in here while the hood's laying flat on a bench, and it'll be easier to cut the holes, I think, off the car too. So, all right.
Good champ. Thankfully, we aren't playing in the dark here when it comes to cutting up the hood. I know I would screw this up if I had to do it. Varus provides us with a template, and I've just cut it out, and now you just place it. And the one thing you want to make sure here is you've got the right template for the right louver, because if you don't, you're going to drill the wrong holes, and that could be a bit of an issue. Always a good idea to make a little mark where you're gonna drill before you actually drill. Thin sheet metal.
Yeah.
Very, very thin.
Aluminum, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
This hood is crazy light. It's like a 5-pound hood.
I think now that I've made all the marks, I don't need this here anymore.
Yeah, true. As long as
kind of want to, see.
You can see those marks clearly, yeah.
I can, yeah. As you can see, I've now marked the area that we need to cut the metal out of. And I'm going to be using an air saw for this. However, I don't really have a thin blade, which is unfortunate because I'm going to have to cut really large holes as I did over here. Okay, let's see my precision cut here.
Lost the blade. What was that, PT?
And we're gonna have to try a different tool. As much as I love the air saw, all the shaking.
Yeah, it's very grabby. It grabs the metal too much.
But
well, lesson learned on that one. Let's try a different technique on the next one.
Yep. The grinder made easy work of the rest of all the edges and whatnot. Now it's time to actually put in our Varus louver. We've got this cool little gurney that goes on the front of it to make sure that air doesn't kind of get sucked down in this area. There we are in. And for the nuts, what you're supposed to do is actually just finger tighten them. And then after you finger tighten them, you just want to give them 1/8 of a turn to tighten it up a little bit more. These do not have to be crazy tight, and what you don't want to do is start buckling and sucking the other side in. So it's just a small little turn like that. Nuts are tight. Let's see what this thing looks like. I gotta say, man, this hood is light.
It is crazy light.
Wow. Look at that, DP.
Looks good.
Looks real good.
Yes.
Man. All right, well, we've got 3 more to go. That was a lot of drilling and cutting, but I think the result is well worth it. Check it out. The grinder works, or I'm sorry, the cutting wheel works 1,000 times better than the air saw did. Man, DP, everything seems to line up.
Yeah, it looks good, man.
They look really nice. So we are officially vented. And I think you started working on something already.
Yeah, working on the brakes. Time for a quick refresh on the brakes on this car. These are the original Essex Sprint brake kit that we put on this car during the very first season of building this car as part of our Targa Newfoundland build. And all we've done is change the brake pads on this car once. That's including probably a dozen lapping days, Ontario 1500, which is 7 tracks in 7 days, Targa Newfoundland, which is a week-long tarmac rally. So these brakes have seen a lot of action, and we're only now thinking about, well, we are changing the rotors because they're starting to look a little bit thin on the J-hooks here. As those wear down and get close to being gone, you know that they're time for a refresh, but they have been absolutely bulletproof. The brakes in this car are phenomenal, so we're just putting new stuff on and going back to the track. So as you can see, I've already pulled the front driver's side rotor off. It's a 2-piece deal, so aluminum center hat with the J-hook style AP Racing rotor. This is from EssexParts.com, part of their Sprint kit. And by the way, it's only $173 for this replacement disc, which is stunningly cheap to me, given how long they've lasted. So that's, I think, probably the best $173 we will ever spend. So assembly is pretty straightforward. They have very detailed instructions on Essex Parts website, but this goes on top. They send you new hardware. You put a nut and washer on the bottom side, bolt and washer on the bottom side, nut and washer on the top side. Torque them down and you're good to go. And just like that, we've got our new hardware in place. It's time to torque it down to the specified 124 pounds-inch. Not pound-feet, Peter, pounds-inch. There it is.
Ooh, there it is.
Oh, that's good, Peter.
It does sound good.
Right there. I could do that all day, baby. All right, with that rotor fully assembled and ready to go back on the car, it's time to talk about brake pads. These are our old pads. They have taken a bit of a beating. It's either some crumbling here. The edges are looking a little crumbly. They've still got lots of thickness left in them. And they've been a really good pad. These are Ferrota pads, but we are big fans of Hawk Performance pads. We've used them on a ton of our project cars, our EK, our S2000, just about everything. But strangely, we've never run them on this car. So we are changing that. We are fixing that by going to their new DTC 80 compound. They make it in the correct backing plate shape for these AP calipers, which we'll show you momentarily. After all that careful torquing to 124 inch-pounds, I sent Essex Parts an email because the torque spec I looked up wasn't specific to this kit.
Yep.
So I just wanted to be on the safe side, and sure enough, because this is a non-floating rotor setup, these need to go to 18 foot-pounds, which is almost twice 124 inch-pounds. That's like 10 foot-pounds. So I'm glad I checked, and if you're doing this job, please torque it to 18 foot-pounds, which I'll do right now. Time to move on to some Aero upgrades, because this car, despite having a large front splitter on it, has picked up some understeer from the very aggressive Voltex rear wing that it has. We always struggled with a little bit of push if we had the wing at anything more than just like the flattest angle possible, and we'd like to be able to put a bit of angle on the wing so we get more rear downforce out of it, but to do that we need more front downforce. And to do that, we've turned to our friends at Professional Awesome, who make these ABS plastic front splitter diffusers. So they have this upsweep in them. You install them on the underside of the splitter like so. We'll show you the install, but they will create a lot of front end downforce. So much so, in fact, that guys have been breaking their splitter mounts after installing these. So make sure that your splitter is very securely installed if you're going to install these. We're just looking around at installation options, and we're thinking this is our best location for them. If you jump on Professional Awesome's website, they do have some guidelines about how to install these, but basically you don't want them too close to the leading edge of the splitter, so you want some space here for air to kind of attach to and then use this upturn to create some downforce. You want them more or less in line with the car, but Dan from Pro Awesome was actually saying if you give them a bit of an out turn, so turn them out a bit toward the wheel, you'll gain some downforce from that. He says up to about 10 degrees. So we'll use that little trick and turn them out slightly, which actually work well for where our mounting point is for the splitter out here. And we've got this tow hook. We've got this tow hook on the inside here that we don't want to cut off. So it actually fits quite nicely in this opening here. After further thought, we've run into a bit of a problem. These are universal, so they're designed to be installed in your home-built splitter or race car splitters. And this splitter on the FRS is not particularly deep. What was going to happen is if we fitted it here and cut it all the way up to here, you're going to see it from the top side of the splitter, which was not going to look good and was probably going to interrupt the effectiveness of the splitter itself. So we're going to trim this down a bit. You can see there's a flat portion here that the splitter is also flat. So trimming off some of the flat portion here shouldn't affect its, its function. And we'll also be able to trim the front of it off here. If we need to shorten the front up a bit, I don't think it's going to affect its effectiveness either. So
time to send it. I got the Milwaukee grinder. Let's see how this goes.
Oh, there we go.
Got it.
all right, now that we got the hole cut, we know how much we need to trim off the back end here. We spoke to Dan at Pro Awesome and he said trim the back side, not the front side, because the air kind of needs a smooth transition into this diffuser. So we're just going to trim enough that we've got good tire clearance and we should be good to go.
I love the bed stuff.
A quick test fit here, and we actually don't have to trim as much off as we initially thought, so that's encouraging. Good. Yeah, looking real good. Time to fasten these to the splitter. Professional Awesome says either glue them in or pop rivet them in. We thought since Ken Wagon has all of this fancy stuff from his carbon fiber work, you've seen his carbon fiber hatch, why not call him up, get him to bring the stuff over, and help us glue these in. So, what do we need to do to glue this to that splitter?
So first of all, we're going to have to mix the epoxy here. We have 1 part resin, 1 part hardener. And to change the consistency, we're going to add some silica filler. So it's basically changes the consistency on it. So from runny to kind of like a putty substance.
Okay.
And because it's black, we can also add a bit of the graphite powder.
Ooh.
Just to like make things a little bit more
nice.
matchy-matchy. It does add a little bit of rigidity to the whole
okay.
epoxy as well.
That's
so
a good thing.
I find that it does take a little bit, so it's okay to keep adding.
2 more?
Oh yeah.
You say when?
Keep going. All right, let me stir this for a bit and go from there.
Okay.
All right.
Is that good?
That should be good.
I feel like we got enough along the back side there.
You can add more if you like. We'll just worry about dripping. We got the stuff underneath. That's fine. Let's make sure this is where you guys want it.
Yeah.
Start further back first, then forward. It's oozing out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Look at that ooze. We got some good ooze happening there.
We have good contact front and back.
Diffuser number 2 going in the splitter. All gooped up and ready to party. Well, it looks like the epoxy is pretty much set up here. Taking the clamps and everything off of it, put the bolt back in for the turnbuckles up top. I think all in all, it's going to be a good, secure way of fastening this in here. And that's the beauty of the Professional Awesome stuff, is it is very affordable, and they really kind of specialize in giving you guys affordable ways to make real downforce on your time attack cars. So what do you say we throw the bumper on this thing and see how she looks from up top? Well, we didn't cut so far that you can really see it through here. You can actually just barely see the corner of it poking through there. But we have a temporary solution for that, and that is some foam. We did this on the S2000 splitter too. It's actually really important to seal the top side of the splitter to the front bumper. If you get air bleeding in through the top of it, it really decreases the efficiency of the splitter and you lose a lot of downforce. So this will help seal that up and will, kind of hide that little bit that you can see here. Eventually, like we mentioned earlier, we'll build a proper air dam for it, which will do a better job of sealing it up and look cleaner. But in the meantime, I think the foam's a pretty clean look and does the job for pennies on the dollar. And that's a wrap. But before we go, let's show you how these various hood vents look with the hood closed.
Look good.
Aggressive, I like it. Exciting to test all this stuff out soon. If you guys want to get some swag, like my new trucker hat here, go check us out on speedacademy.shop. Give us a thumbs up for more downforce. Give us a subscribe for fresh breaks. And give us a share for more FRS content. Coming at you soon. Probably going to interrupt the effectiveness of the splitter itself, so we're going to trim this down a bit. It's with this neighborhood, man. All right, we're going to trim this down a bit. You can see there's a flat portion here that